I've heard this, and maybe I'm not saying it right, but is that they have determined that the amount of energy that is in the universe and the way that it's functioning, that there must have been or must be an input from some other source. So they invent this, oh, well, that's because there's multiple universes, right?
Well,
so
I mean,
that
this
was
is
sort of an escape hatch from the logical inference of, wait a second.
You could go crazy talking about this. There are three arguments that from science that I roughly deal with in the first part of this book. First one is the Big Bang, which nobody really talks about anymore. It is, when it was understood that the universe had a beginning, it completely freaked out anybody who doesn't want God. Like it completely destroyed them. They were looking for the exits. We don't talk about that anymore. I talk about that in the first part of the book. Then I talk about what I mentioned, the James Tour, this idea of abiogenesis. How do you go from no life to life, okay? But the most compelling argument, Christopher Hitchens, the atheist, famous, was asked once, what's the most compelling argument for God from the other side, from the God side? And in a rare moment of candor, because he was like a nasty debater, he actually said, oh, the fine-tuned argument, this argument that science continues to discover that if something were just a millimeter in this direction, there's no life. If it was a millimeter in the opposite direction, no life. It just happens to be on that knife edge. And we discover more and more that it looks like everything was just perfectly fine-tuned. So he mentions this. So when I mentioned the fine-tuned argument in my first book about this called Miracles, and then I wrote an op-ed for the Wall Street Journal on that subject with the title, Science Increasingly Makes the Case for God, it went more viral than anything they've ever published in the history of the Wall Street Journal. 650,000 Facebook shares, because people are so hungry for this. You can't get this anywhere, right?
Wow.
And all of the atheists dismiss it like, oh, that's already been taken care of years ago, And I thought, no, Christopher Hitchens, the flag bearer for your movement, said publicly that is the most compelling argument. It's one that gives us pause.
Wow.